Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I have the medium Dany Barrett with us today. Dany, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing today with this heat? It's super hot today.
Yeah, it's really hot. It's ridiculous already.
Isn't it amazing how we go from like wearing sweatpants and sweatshirts earlier this week to like needing to go swimming today? I don't get this weather.
I know. Welcome to upstate, right?
You're like, welcome to upstate. So Dany, I am familiar with you as a medium and as a reader, and you are phenomenal. I love the way that you connect with your clients. You're very positive, inspirational. You bring in a lot of information, which is always fascinating whenever you go and get a reading with you. I love the fact that you're already like, before you even go into the reading, you're like, okay, so last night I was getting this, and this. It's always a book that you have ready for your client. If you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about like how you knew that you were a medium and connected with the other side, and how did that happen?
Well, I didn't.
A little bit.
I had the same nightmare pretty consistently for about a year before all this started. And it was a dream about, I was in an old house with a very creepy old man who I assumed was a ghost of some kind, a spirit of some kind, but I didn't know. And he would approach me, and I would turn my back in a dream, push my bed to the other end of the room, which was like an old attic, and then get back in bed and hide, and that would happen again. And that was pretty consistent, that I started to keep kind of like a journal about it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what brought me to talking to Danielle Tremblay, who's now Danielle Light, the animal communicator, because we both taught together. Oh, nice. And she said that she had gone to see Kelly Ballard and that she recommended I go. Mm-hmm. So I went to see Kelly Ballard, who is based out of Clifton Park. I don't know if she still is. And she basically told me that was kind of my intuition. And she asked me if I wanted to join one of her classes. And it was an intuitive development class where I met Tony and Jess and Mary and everybody. And she definitely opened up my intuition for me. And then when I would share my intuitive stuff with my family, my dad said, you know, when you were little, you would tell me that you saw people coming out of walls. Do you think that had anything to do with it? Now, I think everybody is born intuitive. It's just a matter of developing it, whether you choose to or not, or know how to. So he would tell little stories like, oh, you know, when you were little, you and your sister said this, or you said that. And it was very interesting to put two and two together. So, yeah.
And how long ago was this, like, kind of, you were having this dream for about a year and then you went into the classes? How long ago was that?
My son, I believe, was 6 at the time, and now he's 21.
Oh, wow. So it's a long time ago.
Yeah. Could it be that long ago?
And then with that, like, you know, it kind of opened up your intuitive abilities more so, maybe kind of more of an acceptance of them. Do you find that you're more clairvoyant? Because what you're saying is that you're seeing, or do you have other psychic senses? Or medium senses, I'm sorry.
I used to just feel. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I wasn't aware that all that was intuition at the time. I was actually very fearful and depressed. Oh, wow. So I do, you know, credit those development classes with bringing me out of a pretty difficult time in my life. Mm-hmm. Everything was dark around me all the time. Oh, wow. Yeah, it was tough. And so kind of connecting with my intuition changed my life. Yeah. So, but
sorry, go ahead.
I used to just feel things, mm-hmm. and then I started to see while we were in our development classes, and sometimes hear. And then what really kind of brought all the senses around was chanting. That really opened up a lot of stuff for me.
Now, would you say that when you're fearful, feeling depressed, and you said that you're like around the dark, would you consider that to be the dark night of the soul? Or would you just consider that you just had so much overstimulation, you didn't quite know what to do with it?
Well, I think it was a point of kind of, in a way, looking back, obviously, it's an interp, but I think it was a way to get me to grasp my intuition. I should say and be really clear about it, because I see this with kids who are extremely sensitive. It was something I was very scared of. So there would be things that I would see or feel and be very frightened, even in daytime, until those classes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think some of it might have to be like when I would tell adults those things as a kid. Like, I remember, this is terrible. Should I say it?
Yes, of course.
All right. When my grandfather passed away, I fainted at his funeral. Oh my goodness. Probably because of all the energy in the funeral parlor looking back, but I was out, just down for the count. And then after that, I would have dreams at night of him trying to talk to me, but his lips were stitched together. And I remember telling my father that, and the look of horror on his face, it made me shut up, like that kind of thing. So I never saw stitches in his mouth at the, I'm not going to say anything about any funeral parlors or anything. I never saw that, but that was what, I felt like.
Interesting. Do you look back at that now and wonder, what did that mean? Or is it just kind of still kind of a scary image in your mind?
Well, in a way, my grandfather was kind of like a funny guy, and he did have a dark sense of humor. So it wouldn't have surprised me if he was telling me, like, making a joke, like, oh, I talked to you, but my mouth is, you know what I mean? But the thing is, when I got to know Alicia and all that, I realized that they used to do that. Now I think they seal it with wax or something, right? But they used to do that, and I didn't know that. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. That is crazy. Now, so a long time ago, you took this intuitive development classes. I can't do math, guys. I'm like 21.6. I don't know. Really bad. And you're a teacher too, so you're like, Rachel, you failed.
No, I don't know any math. I'm English teacher, so.
Rachel, your English sucks too. Did you find that? I mean, because I know that you're close with the people that you took the intuitive development class with. Did you find that they supported you through this kind of awakening process?
Oh yeah, I think one of the scariest things is taking those risks of, using your intuition out loud, so to speak, and getting confirmations. I think that's the scariest part about it.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that you do is you do group readings, which that's a lot of energy that's coming in. That's a lot of people, because you do pretty large groups. How do you manage that kind of setting, like being an intuitive, sensitive person?
I think the biggest thing is making sure that everybody else, and I learned this from Kelly too, is to raise everybody in the room's vibration. Mm-hmm. So everybody's at the same space, so then you can reach them. But a lot of times it can be confusing, because if people are either close together or have some kind of common experience, sometimes you get a message that you think is for one person, and it's for a person close to them. And I think the biggest thing too is sometimes, when you go home, you take people's things with you. So it's really important to keep your energy clear.
And what are some practices that you do to kind of, like, I would imagine you have to keep your energy clear all the time, like before you do a reading, like when you're leaving a reading, your day-to-day. I mean, we all have to kind of keep our energy clear and make sure we're moving away what is not ours and sending it back to what are some of your daily practices that you do, or just when you're doing your sessions, that kind of help clear your energy?
It's a lot of different things, like sage, the temple cleansing where you're kind of brushing your aura, tuning up with Reiki is always really good. Yeah. Also, a lot of times I'll put myself in a little bit of what I call an envelope, but a lot of people call it a bubble. You put yourself in that. And a lot of times too, just kind of supporting your heart chakra and your solar plexus, and kind of running a little bit of like a circuit between those two. It helps me a lot.
Oh, nice. I like that. Running a circuit. That sounds really cool. I like how you put it as an envelope. I do columns, but I like the envelope, like you're sealed, protected by God, protected by all of the energies around you. I
Yeah.
love that. Now,
And I always take a shower after when I come home before I go to bed.
Just to wash away the energy of what's. And how do you like maintain your energy? Like, I don't know. I guess I'm on an energy kick today. Like, how do you like? Does that help you to keep? Do you know when like you're like, okay, this is a lot of energy coming through? Like, do you make sure to like, how do you manage that, all of that energy? Do you know what I mean? Like, and then maybe like, do you take a break for a couple weeks, or you're like, I'm good, I don't need to do this?
I'm still honestly learning how to manage my workload as far as energy. For example, like there are times because I book out pretty far.
Yeah.
When I get to a booking, sometimes I get this feeling like I can't do this.
Yeah.
I cannot do this today. Like I don't have the energy. And that is the hardest part about it, because a lot of times I have to call and reschedule, but I'm really trying to respect my boundaries in that way.
Yeah.
You know, if I feel nauseous at the thought of doing something, that means that I don't have the energy to spare.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's amazing. Good for you for honoring yourself. And as a practitioner, I think a lot of people can actually take that lesson. You know, you need to take care of yourself first before you take care of your clients, because otherwise you're not going to be giving them the best and highest service of what you can deliver.
Exactly. And it doesn't always roll well with people, you know. They don't always like it. But then I always say, well, I could recommend someone else. You know?
And they're like, no, we want you.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they do take the recommendation, but then like someone I might recommend them to will sometimes reject people of mine.
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm sorry. I'm like, really? Like,
yeah. A little dirt there for you.
Guys, we're drinking the tea.
I know. And I'm just
sorry, I'm having a moment by that. I'm like, why? Like, I mean, come on.
They don't feel the fit is right, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know. To be honest, it doesn't work out. Maybe that's the universe saying, well, it's not working out for you, Dany, and it's not working out for this other person. Maybe this person isn't ready for a reading, you know?
Right.
I take it as a hint for sure.
You know, it's interesting, and we're jumping a tangent here. Have you ever like turned away a client where you're like, I'm sorry, I can't work with you?
There have been times when I've read for someone once and they wanted another reading, and I've said, you know, I don't think it's. I would never say I can't work with you, but I would say like, oh, you know, I don't think we're the type to work well together. But I don't believe in maybe doing that without at least having a conversation with them first to get their energy. Yeah, that doesn't always go over well too.
I feel like you have more tea.
I do. There are people that I read for that I've never met physically before. And so it's really important, you know, that you're able to kind of get what you need out for them, because they don't have the visual, they're not there with you. And I think sometimes people aren't ready to hear things. They just, you know, so they get upset. And
I have to tell you, the only time that I have stopped working with the client is when they sent me an inappropriate picture.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, we're good. And they still occasionally text me and I'm like, we're good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like I always say to my guides, like, please allow me to work with this person for both of our highest and best good. I mean, and then I always say this thing that I've been saying for years, like, if I'm supposed to be doing this still, make it easy for me, you know?
So true.
Because it takes so much energy. Like, please make it easy. I'm not here to struggle. If this is what I'm
not even that, like, you also have a full-time job. I mean, you're a teacher by trade, you know, and then you do this on the side, which is a beautiful service that you offer, but it must feel like at times that you're running 2 full-time jobs.
Oh yeah.
Hi, Jess.
Oh, Jess is at Tony's?
Yeah.
Hi.
I love it. As we're like, it's not about you anymore, Dany. Just kidding.
That's okay. I'm okay with that.
But I mean, do you feel like sometimes as a spiritual person having a human experience that it is kind of like you're like, okay, well, I have my family, I've got my partner, I've got my son, I've got my animals, I've got all of this, and then I have my whole spiritual business. Sometimes, I mean, even for me, and I guess the reason why I'm bringing this up a lot, because I'm finding right now for myself, because work has been a lot, that I'm like, okay, like I don't know how much more we have left to give in the tank. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree 100% with that. It's very difficult to balance everything. And there are times when I'll be like, I can't remember the last time I had a conversation with, Sebastian. He's working, I'm working, two jobs, so it can be really difficult.
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's interesting. I feel like, and also, do you feel like right now as a planet as a whole that we're kind of in this, I mean, we're in this energy where things that we never thought were going to happen are happening. And then we have this other side where I'm sure you're witnessing all of these people going through the spiritual awakening and turning to this spiritual, beautiful self. But then we have all of this crap and shit over here. Like, I think I'm saying, I'm sorry to my mic, as spiritual people, it's been kind of the struggle.
Yes. And it seems like there's such a clear cut line, it's a lot one way or a lot the other. There's the middle is kind of separating. And
it is interesting that there is, I mean, and we got Tony and Angela and Jess that are also on here. It does feel like we are losing this middle. Like, and it's either you're on this team or you're on this team, and all these teams can just go fuck off. And it's kind of scary. It's a lot, definitely. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make this political, but I don't know. And I feel like it's, I know that you're very intuitive, and a lot of people that are listening to this, it's interesting to see how the energies are playing out right now.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. And, especially today.
Oh,
I know. It's terrible.
I have to say that I hate to say this. I'm glad that I'm not in the child bearing years anymore as a woman, and the fact that it's just no. Tony and Jess are back there laughing at us or at me. Like, I can't wrap my head around today. I just feel like this is just we're in unprecedented times, which I never thought as an adult we would be seeing this. Going through the pandemic, I really thought that we would come together more, and now I just feel like we're dividing more.
I agree.
Thank you, Dany.
You're welcome.
I love it. So what kind of spiritual practices do you have on, like, either what are some things that really help you to center, help you to ground, help you to feel connected? Like, for me, I like to journal, I like to be outside in nature, I like to listen to music. I get crystals from Tony. This helps me.
Ooh, pretty.
It's Creedite. Isn't that so cool?
Beautiful.
I should be like Jess and put it on my head.
Yeah.
I'm back in the motherland, Jess. Go ahead.
I go through phases of stuff. Sometimes it's just a matter of like closing my eyes wherever I am and just trying to center. Sometimes I love to meditate. I love to do that. I don't always get the opportunity to do it. And my little grounder, Evie, just passed away, my Shih Tzu. So sorry. I got to teach somebody else to sit in my lap while I meditate. I miss her so much.
I'm sorry.
Her birthday was yesterday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. So, I have certain things like that. Also, to be honest with you, cleansing my classroom has been such a help this year, especially. Just scooping that energy out. Also, we have crystals pretty much everywhere in this house now. Like there's not a place where there isn't a crystal. So being around crystals is really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We've got our crystal gal, Tony, is also on the call. Tony, what are some good crystals you recommend for intuitive people? I'll make you come off of mute. It's interactive, I know. Look at her face. Here, I'm gonna ask you to mute. There you go. Try it there. Here you go. Oh, there you go.
So I just happen to have raw kyanite.
Oh.
So that's a great one for connecting, communication, and in Reiki to do psychic surgery. Kyanite is a great one.
That's a really pretty one. Now, Dany, are you also a Reiki master?
Yes.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah, I became a Reiki master at the same time Tony and Jess did.
So
that was a good group.
That sounds like an amazing group. I love that. That's cool. Okay. All right. Thank you, Tony. So for meditating, how did you were you always like, was it always easy for you to meditate, or did you have to get into a practice? Look at your face, like no. Or did you have to get into a practice where it was kind of easier for you to get into that flow?
Oh yeah, just counting breaths is how I started. And a lot of guided meditations that we did in the class, the development class. And then I started to get into listening to certain music, you know, a lot of music that had to do with, you know, changing your vibration, healing energy, the Sanskrit chanting music. And then it got to the point where, you know, and I'm sure everybody who meditates feels this way, you can just drop in and drop out, you know, really fast.
Nice.
And, yeah. And I always wondered, like, when it got to be easy, am I really meditating now? Because that was too easy, you know?
For somebody that's starting out, possibly like going on their meditative journey, like how many minutes per day would you recommend them trying to drop in and clear your head? No minutes, just like a minute, 5 minutes?
Like
12 seconds?
5 to 10 breaths. You know, the idea at first is just to feel your own energy.
Yeah.
Know what's yours. Whenever I teach anyone about intuition, I always start with the idea, know what's your energy and what's coming in is somebody else's. We have to figure that out. Yeah. And I think Reiki helps that a lot to be able to heal your energy, keep it on a high level, and then be able to say, all right, well, that feeling is not mine. So let's interpret that, you know?
Yeah, that is such a valuable point that you bring up, because I feel like a lot of people are very empathic and they don't realize that they're picking up on other people's emotions, and that they may 1 minute be feeling, oh, I'm really pissed off, and there's really no reason to be upset, but maybe somebody walked by them and they shot that energy towards them. That brings up a very, very valid point. And I love the fact that you teach people about how to tune in and sense, is this mine or is this someone else's?
And a lot of people are carrying around energy packed all around them that has nothing to do with them. And so a lot of times, you know, you teach intuition and you try to get people to take Reiki at the same time, you know, so they can cleanse themselves.
So why don't you tell us a little, do you teach an intuitive development class? It sounds like you do.
I have in the past. I used to do like a mini intuitive series type of thing. I know Tony does it too. But what I used to do is just kind of try to do as small a group as I could, because I found that a lot of people have a lot of questions all at once, and it's understandable. I don't know how Kelly ever answered all those questions, because to me, it's kind of like, you know, you're tuning in to get the answers for them. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it is exhausting for sure. Are you ever going to teach it again, do you think?
I usually do like a 4-week to 6-week. Yeah, I've done it at Revive in the past. I know Tony does it over at her shop.
So you do. Go ahead.
I have no plans at this time to do that.
Okay. So Dany, right now you are currently, do you do readings? I know you go to Revive and you do groups. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is there anything, do you do sessions there or?
I do sessions by phone. I do sessions by Zoom, and I have done sessions there. I try to do like a couple of days a week in the summer there.
Very nice.
Yeah, but I'm really trying to kind of have boundaries with how much I work. So, yeah.
Well, it's your almost your summer break. Like I would imagine part of you is like, what grade do you teach?
8th grade English.
Oh my gosh. I'll be sending my son to you. He's now in 8th grade. God bless you. God, that's a lot of energy. Did you find like a lot of the 8th graders, like they kind of, all right. Were you remote last year when you were teaching? Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, did you kind of feel like when they came back to school, it's almost like a little bit of PTSD. Like,
yeah,
we had this major transition and now it's like, okay, now we're back to normal, but let's wear a mask and let's be restrictive. And, you know, how did you manage the kids' emotions? That must have been really difficult along with your own.
Yeah. What?
You cleansed your class, but I'm sorry, what else did you do?
Yeah, I cleansed my class. I did a lot of like one-on-one talking to them, which is interesting because they don't really want to talk to you.
No, they don't.
But I try to send them energy while I was talking to them. Like, you know, I used to do meditation Mondays in my classes before the pandemic, yeah. And the kids were good with that. I couldn't even approach that this year. No. The amount of energy, it was like an explosion, you know? So yeah, that was tough. I spent a lot of time standing by certain kids to ground them and stuff.
That is so sweet. I mean, as a teacher, I know we're talking about intuitive and spiritual people, but as a teacher, like, I mean, that is just, I mean, we commend you for the fact that, you know, you were able to go through that, do that, still, you know, it's a lot, like being in the service, you know, kind of industry. Like I am in the doctor's office and I still feel like we're all going through this like PTSD. And it's like, I don't know how we're going to reset back to, I don't think we're ever going to go back to the way we were. So.
No, I don't think so either. And, one of the things about the kids that I noticed is once they're used to being around a bunch of people again, it's easier for them to focus, but it's a constant reminder like, okay, we're all here. Everybody can hear you. Everybody can see you. You know, I used to say to the kids in September, what do you need from me in order to be able to focus?
Oh, I love that. I mean, the fact that you're willing to ask that, I mean, I'm sure there's many amazing teachers, but there are some that are just like, whatever. I hate to say that. I guess I'm spilling the tea right now. But, I mean, it's just, you know, it's difficult. Like my son, he's going into 8th grade and you guys know Brayton and he's not a fan of school. He's like, I'm done. I don't want to be a factory worker. And I'm like, you gotta go to school though, kid. And I'm waiting until we get the report card and if he has to go to summer school, like, I don't know. Yeah.
My son liked the social aspect of school and the sports more than the academics. So
see, I even wish that, I mean, honestly, like he got so used to being home in front of a computer and to get him back to socialization, it's still a struggle and it's already been 1 year. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. And I love the fact that you're willing to stand with your kids and just say, what do you need from me? I'm here for you. Like that's really beautiful. I love that. Do you have, what are some of the services that you offer? Do you do, I feel like there's other stuff that you do that we haven't touched upon.
I do home cleansings.
Yes, I knew that. Tell us about that.
Oh gosh. I have so many
good stories.
A million. I mean, it's funny because when you do something for so long, you don't know what's a good story anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's all just like, oh, well, you know.
I do it. I'm amazing, guys. I do cleansings. I'm fabulous.
It's not even that. It's more like, is it a good story to tell if, you know, you get along with the spirit or do you have to have conflict for a good story? Like, I don't know.
Like how do people know that they need to have their house cleansed, like there's something not going on, like, or that, and like it could be a positive experience or maybe a not so positive experience, like how, because how would you know that, like, okay, I need your services?
A lot of times there's a feeling of being unsettled. Nausea is common around a spirit that is, come here, Lulu, sorry.
No, it's okay.
A nausea or like the feeling of like the room spinning that's a common feeling of a earthbound spirit. Also the feeling like you can see someone out of the corner of your eye, because the way that I understand it is that someone in spirit can be completely unknown to anybody who's not sensitive. They could live quietly with you and never know about it. So you would never know. And the way that you would know is if something's going on and they're trying to get your attention.
Wow.
Yeah. So for example, like there are people who, will tell you when you go to their house, it's very clearly there's someone there. Okay. You see them, you feel them, you hear them, but they'll say, I only recently started having issues. And then you talk to the person in spirit and they said, well, this used to be my house and I'm still here. And so they're getting upset about something's making them uncomfortable.
So do you have any like any type of story that it doesn't matter, maybe I'm sure to you they're like whatever, but I know you've got some good stories to share?
Oh yeah, I have a couple stories. A lot of them involve little ones.
Yeah. Do you have like a daycare one or anything?
Oh yeah, I have the daycare one that
Let's hear it.
Okay. So my sister was the curriculum, at the time she was a curriculum coordinator for a corporate daycare center, very swanky place. And they had cameras in every single room. And so it would be like from babies all the way up. They had like ones they called waddlers, which were the ones that were crawling and learning to walk, toddlers, all that kind of stuff, all the way up, I think, to 5. So what was interesting was that the little kids in this one room who were just starting to talk, I think they were maybe 3-ish, would draw pictures of the same thing over and over again. And it was a face with like messed up teeth. And a lot of times the kids would write like an X through it, or they would like cover the teeth with like a piece of construction paper after. It was very strange. So they had this little art gallery where the kids were all drawing weird things.
Yeah.
And then they would talk about the man. Yeah, they would talk about the man. And there was one very articulate boy who would say, that man has bad teeth. And they'd point like toward this window.
Yeah.
So these poor teachers are looking out the window. They don't understand. These kids are going home and talking about the man, yelling at them. And so my sister was getting calls in the office like, hey, who's the man that's yelling at the kids in the 3-year-old room? All that kind of stuff. She couldn't put it together. And then the teacher said, well, we have these pictures. So anyway, they're sitting at a long table. And now the video has no sound for these rooms.
Yeah.
So what happened, what kind of was the kicker was all the kids are sitting at the table with the teachers eating lunch. Then all of a sudden, all the little ones turn one way, their mouths open like they're screaming, and they're all looking at the same thing. And then over in the corner, a boat comes sailing off a toy cabinet, sails across the room and breaks on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and all the kids are crying and everything.
Yeah.
So then I went there and spoke with a man, and he thought that was his, he had a pig, he said, he's a farmer. He had a pig that had just had babies, and all these kids were in his pig pen, and he wanted them out because they were too loud. They were throwing toys around. They were running around crazy, and he was worried about his pigs getting stepped on, these baby pigs.
That's kind of sweet.
Yeah, and his teeth were really bad.
Oh, that's so
So when I spoke to him and explained it, he gave me his name, everything. And I explained to him, like, this is this really isn't your land anymore. This is a daycare center,
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. And I said, there's a lot of kids here who are very frightened of you.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I didn't want them on my land, like he just started noticing them. So it was bad. So got rid of him. And the teachers took down all the pictures of the man with the teeth. And the kids, a couple of them, I guess, asked after, like, where'd the man go? Where did the man go? And they said, oh, the man went away. He took his animals and he went away. And the kids were like, okay.
Wow.
And that was it. That was the end of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, nothing ever happened again.
That's so fascinating. They're like, get off my land.
Yeah. He showed me the pigs. It was a huge litter.
You're like, yeah, I'm so sorry. We've been living in your piglets.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do you have any like inspirational type of clearing stories or anything like that?
A lot of times, something that I kind of picked up was people who are difficult to get to move along. I have connected them with like their mom on the other side or their sister. And that has always been very emotional.
Wow.
Yeah. There was actually one that I spoke to a state policeman in Utica.
Oh my goodness.
Because there were gunshots and stuff in a house where this lady lived.
Mm-hmm.
The sound of gunshots and neighbors were calling. And this lady was like, it's just me here, very old lady. And it turned out to be that there was a man living in the top floor of her house in spirit. And so the state police guy said, we looked all over the place. Can you tell me, he was kind of testing me, I think, what it looks like. So I described the man. Mm-hmm. I described what he showed me upstairs, down to where the man had written his name in dust with his finger in the window. And I told him, the spirit. And I told him about it. And then the police officer was like, all right. So I asked this man, like, what's with the gunshots? And he said he had been hunting out back of that house because that used to be his house.
Yeah.
So he could do that. And I guess it was all wooded then. But for them to hear gunshots blew my mind.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then did the lady in the house hear them?
She did not, but she was very, very old, maybe hard of hearing. So she's completely confused. She's like, she has no idea.
Get out of my house.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Yeah, she thinks that the police are picking on her. Because they're constantly responding.
There's gunshots heard. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, Patty, do you have a question? Oh wait, hold on.
I just want to say that Dany comes and cleans my house of grief. She does it about once or twice a year. Not so much anymore, but she used to do that. She does. That's fabulous. You feel so good when she's done. It's like you're 10 pounds lighter. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So you're not just clearing spirits, you're also clearing energy that's probably stuck in the space.
Yes. Yep. And I've done a lot of real estate clearings, where maybe there's been a divorce or a passing, and it makes it easier to sell the house.
Oh, I love that. What is your kind of favorite service? I'm sure you love all the services, but what is the service that you're like, this is my favorite thing to do? Like, is it groups, one-on-ones, clearings?
I like working with energy and properties. I like the clearings a lot. It's one of my favorite things because you can see a very distinct difference between the beginning and the end, Yeah. And I love it when there are kids in the house because they're the ones that point it out to begin with usually, and they're the ones that feel better after.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you really like working with kids too.
Oh, I love kids. I love kids, of course. I'm a teacher. I love kids. I love all that.
Do you ever find that you've met some super intuitive kids where you've kind of helped them with understanding what they're going through?
Yeah, there's a couple kids that are local here who I met through home cleansings, and at different times in their lives, one of them is actually 15 now, help them adjust to energy as they've grown up.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so
Oh,
sweet.
my favorite. Okay, so this is beyond service. My favorite thing is when I meet babies, whether it has to do with spirit or not, like just because I send them like a lot of positive energy, you know, like Reiki healing energy, and you can see their faces change like right away.
Aw.
Yeah, it's nice. That's my favorite thing.
Like, that is my absolute favorite thing. So I know that you're going to be at an open house tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yep.
So what time are you going to be down at Revive?
1 to 2:30.
And then is it walk-in appointments, or are people already scheduled? Are you already booked up?
It's walk-in? Yeah,
I think
1
it's
to
like-
2:30. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
people have been scheduling already.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm like, it's Danny. Of course they're
Yeah,
scheduling. I'm like,
exactly.
probably already booked up.
Just about.
So you better get there first thing in the morning, everyone. Before she comes, stand outside with a coffee. I think she likes tea instead. I love that. What are, if anyone wanted to book a session with you or a clearing, and wait, I want to take a step back. So what you've mentioned during a lot of this is kind of raising people's vibrations and like matching vibrations. Do you find that it is easy to get people to vibrate love or above, or what are some ways that you're like, I know you said the chanting and meditating, like, do you mirror the energy back to someone? What's something that you do to help people raise their vibrations?
Well, when I have a group, I usually use sage. Everybody gets saged, and then also do meditation, a chakra clearing, all of that kind of stuff. Kind of hit it like a 1, 2, 3 punch.
You're like, and you will raise your vibration.
That's right. And there are sometimes only a couple times this has happened, but where someone will, you know, kind of fight it a little. And then it's sometimes hard to get a message for them. So maybe their message wouldn't be as thorough as before, because it's like trying to find the end of a thread on a spool.
Wow. That sounds really hard, actually.
Yeah. So, you know, and bottom line is if somebody doesn't really want a message, but they're showing up, you know.
Maybe they just need energy cleansing.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe they just want to observe. I don't know. But
Well,
it's only
I think for people that are outliers that are interested in it, it is kind of exciting to see, like, because it's when you go to a group event and you see other people's faces light up and you can just feel like the weight of emotion coming off when you're delivering a message. I mean, that's a very powerful experience. And I would imagine people are like, ooh, this is pretty cool. You know?
Yeah.
I love that. So if anyone wanted to book a session with you or anything like that, what is the best way to get in touch with you? Do you have a website or Facebook Messenger?
Nope. I generally, I don't have a website anymore because I find that my best clients are referred.
Yeah. Yeah. You're very much word of mouth. That is true.
Yep. So, and that's what I like the best.
I love it.
But I do have an email. It's readingswithdany@gmail.
And DANY, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
Or you can,
go ahead.
or you can get a hold of me through Revive.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Revive. And Patty's on the call too. So she's one of the owners of Revive, and we love Revive.
Yeah.
And I think Tony wants you to go down to her shop too, right, Tony? Yep. I love it. Anything that you want to, any words of wisdom or anything that you kind of want to leave us with for this wonderful interview?
Oh, well, I think everybody needs to realize that they all have intuition and it can be developed. And that it's not like people who are mediums have any special, like anything special about them. Like they know something that nobody else knows. It's literally about being a conduit. It's like being a tube. You just allow yourself to be open and for that energy to go through you. That's all. It's like being a translator at the UN. Same thing. You don't know what's coming, and you may not even know what the relationship is to what you're saying. You're just a conduit, so just a tool. So a lot of people think, oh, you know, it's something that's elusive. And I truly feel that everyone is intuitive. So
I totally agree with you 100%. And I think as long as you're willing to kind of look at that other side of yourself, and like, I mean, you went through classes and you opened it up and you had a beautiful support system to help you through it. And yeah, as long as you're willing to look at it and kind of open it up, you can tap into that power.
yeah.
Well, Dany, I want to say thank you so much for being on this interview with us this evening. I hope everyone has a great night. Make sure you check out Dany tomorrow at Revive. They are having an open house. And hopefully, do you have a group reading coming up anytime soon, or?
I think there's one for July, right, Patty? Coming up?
There is, but it's booked.
Okay,
Oh.
so maybe in August, or if she goes down to Tony's. Tony.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I hope everybody has a great night. Dany, thank you so much for willing to share part of your story and for being open. And I really appreciate you being on this call tonight.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was good to see everyone.
I know, it's so lovely to see you. All right. I hope everyone has a great night and take care.
Bye.